Hey guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow, guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. This is a cool little lamp. I've been waiting to get into this one because I thought it was very interesting. This is Shetron? I don't know. It's a type approved, 2 watts in max, 100 watts out output, but it does way more than that. I'm going to show you that here in a second. This is silly. Just the whole construction of this amp to me makes no sense. So let me prop this up so we can take a look on the inside here together. And let's get down here and look. This thing is cool. So let's turn our gain down. The Henry was a neat little amplifier. It had 3 transistors in it as well, but it was 3 single-ended devices. The combiner thing was really cool. It's just straight wire. It was really cool. This is 1 transistor drive. This is technically 2 amplifiers. It's 1 drive and 2. Okay. And there's a little transistor here. It's a SD 1272-Q driving to Q612s. And this amp's way underrated. I took this thing to 180 watts with 1 watt of input power. Okay, but they have it way turned back. Way turned back. That was with 1 watt of drive. I was able to take it to almost 200 watts of output power. The reason they have it so detuned is because the heatsink is so, let's see what would be the right word. Shit would be the right word to use. I don't want to say that and be like, oh, this thing's total garbage, because it's not. It's a neat little amplifier. This is designed to take like your 1 watt low setting on your Bofang and kick it up to 100 plus watts on the output side. Okay, this was made for a different era. This was made from when I was an amateur operator in the 90s, 80s and 90s. This little thing. This thing's cool. So you take your little handy talkie, your little 1 watt handy talkie, and you put it on the input of this thing, and you're going to get 100 watts on the output. Okay. 1 transistor driving these 2 output transistors. The problem is from the outside, when you look on the outside of this box, you think, oh wow, look at this. It's a solid heatsink. It is not. There's these 2 tiny little ribs. See this little rib here? Here, let's make it a little bit brighter so you can see what the hell's going on. So this tiny little rib, that's all that's making contact with that bottom heatsink. That and then the faceplate and the rear plate. But from the outside looking in, you can't even tell there's a seam there. So you've got these 3 transistors dissipating their heat into the bottom heatsink. Now, let's say you wanted to put this into, I don't know, a little bit more of a continuous mode operation, because let's face it, FM guys have a tendency to stay on the mic for a little while. You're going to put the fan up here on this top heatsink because your mounts are here. So you screw this down in the trunk of your car and you might put a fan up here. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not going to do you any good. How you actually need to mount this is like this, because your 2 final stage transistors are here and your driver transistor is here. So we'll put a fan on the bottom side and then really long screws to hold it down. Now, staying true to form, the way this works, there's no on-off switch, no nothing. So what we did is the power plug, or the power plug showed up, and it had, like, I'm not kidding, 22 gauge wire feeding it. So I went ahead and I said, okay, enough with that. I took the plug all apart and upgraded it to 12 gauge on the inside, soldered it, heat shrinked it, reinforced it. So it'd have a prayer of being able to pull the 30 or 40 amps that it's going to need to do its job. I'm telling you, I'm very impressed with this little box. I wish I would have had one of these when I was a kid. Because let's face it, when I was a kid, I was a broke young man. My dad decided that he didn't want to be part of our little family anymore. He took off and left when I was about 10. And so just left me and my mom and my strong desire for radio. But, you know, I'd go out to his shop that he had and I would steal filler rod and shit. And maybe some aluminum channel. And I would build like, I remember I built like a 37 element 70 centimeter beam. I'm telling you, after you get past about 8 elements, you are really struggling to start pickup gain. It takes a lot of elements to pick up another dB when it comes to any antenna. I mean, I don't care what frequency you're on. You get past that 7th or 8th element, it starts really slowing down on the directionality. You got to stack a lot of elements out there. And I mean, I'm sitting there with my scientific calculator as a kid, you know, and the ARRL handbook repeating the formula, and it says, okay, this next element needs to be here and it needs to be this size. I mean, come on. This is back when if you had an HP smart calculator, you were the cool kid on the block because you had the coolest technology. There was no computers. We're talking, this is pre-cell phone, I mean, you were the shit if you had a 47 megahertz or a 27 megahertz cordless phone, okay, with a big long telescopic antenna, and you could talk to the end of your driveway. That was the shiz back in the day when I was a kid. So you didn't have modeling programs where you could punch it all in and it did all the math for you. You had to literally do it by hand. Of course, I can remember in junior high having to take a class on how to use a slide rule. Do not ask me to do that today, even though a slide rule is like the easiest thing in the world to operate. We went to the moon on a slide rule. Just make the slide rule bigger and long enough, and eventually you can calculate anything. But I'm just saying, my child today, when she goes to download an app on her tablet to get it to do something, she's like, I don't understand why it won't work. I downloaded it. I just look at her and I shake my head. I'm like, you got no idea what it's like to have to even wait for anything. I mean, anything. Okay, so once again, same setup as we had before with the Henry amplifier. 250 watt element going forward. 100 watt element on the output side. And instead of having these flipped around, believe it or not, it's the only two 2-meter elements I've got. It's like I said, I'm going to be calling up my buddies there at Coaxial Dynamics. Hey, kick down. I got to do some 2-meter shit. So I want to be able to show that this thing with only like 1 watt worth of drive is really putting out what it says it's putting out. The way this is set up now, we're going to put 1 watt in it, and it's going to put 120 watts out. You can go in there and play with them tuners, and it'll do 200 watts, but the heat sink is not big enough by far to be able to dissipate that much heat energy, and you are asking an awful lot from those 2 little transistors to get that 180 watts out of it. So let's go ahead and key this up real quick. Oh yeah, back to 1x there. So there's 100 watts in the corner. This is our input power. Of course, we turn the reflect meter around, you'll see that it's got nothing for input reflect. That's out. This is going in. So let's walk over here and look at this real close. Are you going to focus? There we go. So watch this. It's all the drive we're putting in this amp. Bloop! In the corner. Ah! Let's go up to 2x. So right now we're sitting at 120 watts on 14.7 volts. And my workbench meter does not like the frequency coming by it in the coax. It is causing it to give us a false reading at 16 volts. But 28 amps worth of consumption, so that works out to be just about right on output power. About 112, 115 watts. So, make this long story too incredibly short for anybody's normal consumption. This is Shetron type accepted 2-meter amplifier, which I personally think is kick-ass. I mean, really kick-ass for what it is. So, once again, I gotta tell, this is how this all is gonna work. Real simple. $125 for this. The market on 2-meter amplifiers is a mess, and it's all because of RM Italy. You can go get yourself a 150 watt RM Italy amplifier for about $130, and it is what it is. This is what it is. So, first person that calls me that's interested in getting this gets it, and I'll mark the video as sold. So, on that note, I want to say, gentlemen, thank you for tuning in, following along, watching this little saga as we continue. Believe me when I say we've got many, many, many more to come. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 more to go. So I'm just going to keep clacking them out one after another till we're done. And if they don't sell, don't care. I'll put them in a box. I'll send them back to the guy that owns them. It is what it is. Gentlemen, I appreciate every single one of you. Big shout out to Siglet, Excess Power, Coaxial Dynamics, and Bird, as always. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you. Bye-bye.